What's up, Planeswalkers? It's your boy K-Dog, back in Standard with a Gruul Trample list. So obviously we got Quartzwood Crasher back in Ikoria, and had a ton of fun with this in the last Standard. Now M21 has come out, and didn't get a ton of new additions. We did get some nice tech, which you'll see in the sideboard. However, we did get the Elder Gargaroth, which is a 5 mana 6/6 with Vigilance, Reach, and of course Trample. So we're going to be running 3 copies here, in addition to all 4 copies of the Quartzwood Crasher. So just to review for you who aren't as familiar with this card, don't know what it does. 5 mana 6/6 Trample, so it's pretty solid right there. However, whenever one or more creatures with Trample deal combat damage to a player, you get an XX green dinosaur beast with Trample, where X is the amount of damage those creatures dealt to that player. So it takes all that damage that you've done in total through Trample damage, and it gives you a creature based on that total amount of damage done by all your creatures, not just one particular creature triggers one token. It's all the damage by Trample. So if you have 5 creatures and you Trample through for 8 damage combined for all of those 5 creatures, then you get one single 8/8 token. You don't get 5 different tokens, 1/1 here, a 3/3 there. That's not how this works. However, with Embercleave though, you have double strike, and so you get the you'll get the first hit off the Quartzwood Crasher, and that'll trigger, and you'll get 1 token based off of that. And then with the second part of the double strike, you'll get an additional token as well. So that's kind of the exception there. So Quartzwood Crasher and Embercleave just go amazing together. So we're going to run a couple copies here at our top end. Of course, it's legendary. We're pretty top heavy as it is, so I don't want to run too many of these. Even though this is, of course, just an amazing card. And then the Elder Gargaroth. Just the 3 copies here as well. Trying to keep the curve kind of a little bit lower where we can. So I think 3 copies feels like it's the right amount. And just a ton of value with this overall, being able to draw a card, gain life, or make a 3/3 every time it attacks or blocks. So we'll start at the top end here. So this is pretty similar to the list I came up with last season, but I've kind of reimagined it a little bit. So of course, all 4 Paradise Druids, just a solid creature on its own, and it kind of gives us some ramp and fixing at the same time. Bonecrusher Giants, a little bit of interaction, and a 4 power creature that can kind of maybe stall out our opponents, or we're getting set up into our Quartzwood Crasher, Elder Gargaroth, Embercleave here at our top end. So it's just a nice power play. And some additional ramp here in the form of Domri, Anarch of Bolas. It's a 3 mana Planeswalker, 3 loyalty. Your creatures get +1/+0, which is fantastic with our Quartzwood Crasher. It's an extra point of damage we can trample through for. We can +1 to ramp into red or green, which is, we're Gruul anyway. And creature spells you control, you cast this way can't be countered, which can certainly be relevant in a fair number of matchups. And you can -2 to fight a creature on your opponent's side. So it's not just a deal damage effect, it is a fight effect, so you have to kind of keep that in mind, because you can potentially lose your creature, but sometimes it's just worth it. So Domri is just nice because it protects you from control, and it protects you from like other kind of load to the ground matchups as well. Gruul Spellbreaker, of course, is a must in most Gruul lists. We're in all 4 copies here. We're Trample Tribal, so of course this has Trample and Riot. 3 mana 3/3, which could be just come down as a 4/4, or just a 3/3 with haste with that Riot ability. Gemrazer, of course, Reach and Trample. You can mutate this for 3 mana, or maybe like your Paradise Druid or something like that, and then or your Gruul Spellbreaker with a counter on it. That could be certainly relevant to do, and just main deck artifact and enchantment hate while having some reach as well, since we're otherwise mostly ground based. A couple Shifting Ceratops, we can activate it to give it trample, and of course reach or haste as well. Can be counter protection from blue. Definitely relevant in a lot of matchups, so nice having a couple copies in the main deck. Other bit of ramp here is Domri Chaosbringer. This is kind of a fun casual card. Not really, if you wanted to tune this to make this more competitive, you'd probably take this out for like Questing Beast. But this does allow us to ramp into a Quartzwood Crasher or Elder Gargaroth and give it haste with the Riot ability, so that's pretty sweet. And you can -3 to dig for creatures. Look at the top 4 cards, you reveal up to 2 creature cards among them, and they go to your hand. And if it does stick around for a while, so maybe against a control deck, and they're just focused on removing your creatures, you can just keep plussing Domri and get to the -8, or at the beginning of your end step, make a 4/4 red and green beast creature token with Trample, and so we're going to attack your opponent's removal in those situations. 2 copies here, of course, of the Proud Wildbonder. On its own, doesn't really do much. It is a 4 mana 4/3 Trample, which is, okay. But in certain situations, this card is amazing because creatures you control Trample can deal damage as though they were not blocked. So that is pretty amazing. And let's got a couple copies of Stonecoil Serpent. Just like the 2 copies is relevant. It definitely has a place in the deck, but it's not always as good as you want it to be. So I think 2 copies feels right to me. It has protection from multicolored and has the reach, so it gives you some protection from flyers. And of course the Trample, which is what we're trying to do here. Purphoros Intervention I think is kind of a must removal. It seems like it's kind of overlooked. Maybe it's just not as competitive as some of the other cards, but just having this scalable removal for creatures and planeswalkers is pretty great. And of course, making a Trample token works well with what we're trying to do as well. So 2 copies here of Purphoros Intervention. Mana base here, so we are pretty top heavy, so we're running 25 lands. Just the 1 Castle Embereth, 7 mountains, 8 forest, 4 Stomping Ground, 4 Temple of Ben, and then 1 copy here of Bonders Enclave, just to give us a little bit of kind of more late game. If we are into a little bit of a board stall, we might need to draw into our Embercleave or something like that, and Bonders Enclave can kind of help us get there as we taps for colorless, and then you can pay 3 to draw a card, but only if we have a creature power 4 or greater, which we certainly have no shortage of. Alright, sideboard here. Here's some of our M21 deck. A couple copies of Heroic Intervention. Going to give our permanents indestructible and hexproof. Scavenging Ooze against anything that's trying to utilize their own graveyard. Spyglass here. Obviously, we have to worry about things like Ugin and other planeswalkers. We're firmly in the mid-range territory, so we need some game against the super aggro deck, so Flame Sweep. Obviously, we have to kind of play around with our Paradise Druid because it can kill that, but everything else dodges the Flame Sweep, unless, of course, we play a Stonecoil for 2, but we're probably not going to be doing that if we have a Flame Sweep in hand. And Soul Sear can come in because it's flexible removal for creatures and planeswalkers, and they lose indestructible on the turn, so it works fantastic against the gods, Clothis, Heliod, etc. And life gain is still a very prevalent strategy, so I think Tibalt is just kind of a must for me in the sideboard. And some additional artifact enchantment hate and 2 more Gemrazers. And we do need to go more aggro or for against a bunch of planeswalker, kind of a planeswalker control removal heavy deck. A couple questing beasts that we can bring in out of our sideboard. All right, that's the deck. We'll jump into some best of 3 and see how the Hydraman 18. 10 seems okay. It's a little bit slow. You do have the removal with the intervention on 2 at least. Into Spellbreaker. No turn 1 play from our opponent, so just hold on to the intervention, which we can't use on the Paradise Druid, but they're in Gruul as well, so maybe we just we'll just go for the sure damage. Probably want to get the counter. I think pushing for 3 might be worth it in the long run. We'll see. With the Wildbonder in hand, we could just deal 3 damage even if they do have a blocker. And the opponent says go. That's curious. Alright, well, play the Wildbonder. So opponent with 3 mana open. See if they want to flash something in here, or maybe they're holding up a Scorching Dragonfire. Spellbreaker has Hexproof on our turn, so they couldn't target that. They could have obviously targeted the Wildbonder. Okay, Terror of the Peaks. I think we need to deal with that as much as I want to get the Crasher down. Terror of the Peaks is just a pretty nasty card. And our opponent's down to 7 now, so they don't really have too much going for them. A Ravager Worm can come down and fight. You want to kill the Wildbonder. So we are not in a good spot here. Probably something like an Embercleave or something here. We got them down to 7, but now they're just they got all their big boys online, and we're kind of flooding out pretty hard here. Go for the counter. Gargaroth is nice. We just hold back here, hope for Embercleave. That's about the only thing that can really save us in this spot. I see Ravager Worm getting some play. Okay, they got the Stomp into Lava Coil. Wow. Stomp into Shock into Shock. That's quite a bit of resources. I mean, we 3-for-1 them, but we're still behind here. They can still Bonecrusher Giant by tapping down the Druid. And they've got these two powerful bodies on board. They're definitely a spot where they should be attacking with the Hellkite. And why are you not attacking with your Hellkite? Just play it out as a 4-4, kind of go wide. So once again, we're just kind of hoping for Embercleave. They should absolutely be attacking with this Hellkite. Okay. So they have their Embercleave. Sweet! Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. So Domri feels pretty vulnerable, so go with the Questing Beast. Probably both Domris, bring in the removal. Do we want the intervention? I mean, the removal's not really great against us if it's like shocks. It's like a pretty medium spell to be running in a Gruul list, honestly. Shock, especially when you're kind of a sort of top heavy. When you're better off with like running a bunch of lava coils and things like that. I guess we'll just try it like that and hope we get the Embercleave first. I mean, it's kind of the name of the game in Gruul, unfortunately, is just to get the Embercleave down first. And of course, we do lose our Planeswalkers. Try to fit in some more removal. So Temple, try to find some lands. Fine, Mountain will do. Got the Pelt Collector. I doubt they're running enchantments on their end. I mean, they do have potentially access to Rhythm of the Wild and things like that, but it's more than attack there. They've had pretty good attack. I'll just play this out as a 4-4. Even if we did block, we trade and they grow theirs. Okay, so they were super slow last time, and now they're super aggro. The Pelt Collectors got the Zirta. They're going wide a little bit. All of our options are a little lackluster here. I think we'll just play this out as another 4-4. Just gonna hold down the fort. Just looking for more lands here, really. So they're going super wide. Drawing these Pelt Collectors. You know, they probably have a Terror or something like that in hand, so they're about to make these 4-4s with Trample. There we go. That's what we needed. Let's get the Gargaroth going. That'll kind of get us some advantage going, hopefully. Drop the Wildbonder next turn and make these all swing in for 14 unblockable. Okay, Hellkite. Soul Sear is pretty good. Let's swing here since it has Vigilance, see what they do. Probably just want to go wide. If they try to kill it, then we will Soul Sear. They are trying to kill it. Wow. I mean, they were still in a pretty decent spot there. Like a pretty quick concession. I guess they had to go. Okay, interesting. Okay, Outlaw Panic. And the Druid can kind of fix this, so I think this is okay, especially on the draw. There's a Crasher. We just need some more lands here, please. Okay, mono black vampires, it appears. If we find a land, might just be interested in going with Domri. And we're definitely not blocking. It's hexproof, so. Pretty easy attack here. Okay, our opponent reading the Paradise Druid quite a bit. Must be newer to Magic then. I mean, everybody should know what Paradise Druid does by now if you've been playing for any length of time. Do they have some kind of instant speed trick here? Wow, Spinal Centipede. Wow. I suppose that was a 3/3, I guess. We're leaving our Paradise Druid open to removal, but they'll probably be more incentivized to go after our Serpent. They swing both, we'll block the Child of Knights. Well, as I'm not inclined to block the Centipede at this point. Might be worth it though. We'll see what they do. Assume they have like a murder or something like that open. We're running 25 lands, so we shouldn't have these kind of issues. But it definitely feels like the shuffler does not like 25 lands. 24 is fine because that's kind of the default. 26 and up seems fine just because that's pretty much half your deck at that point. But 25 lands, for some reason, the shuffler does not seem to like it. Yeah, they do attack both. Taking their sweet time in doing so. Just a slow, painful matchup. Okay, so they kill our Stonecoil, but they still lose their Child of Night. Up to 26 with all the life gain. Wow, we just can't find lands here. We do want to deal with that though. And while they found 4 lands and we're still stuck on 2. Second Centipede. Wow, still no lands. We'll just drop our 4/3. We'll definitely block here. Could just have a removal spell. Wow, Agonizing Siphon. That's a card. Swing 6, drop us down to 6. We have the Spellbreaker, so at least we have something next turn. It's not the land we need. We have a 4/4 now, so hopefully that'll slow them down. Unless, of course, they just have like a murder or something. Vindictive Vampire. We're probably just dead at this point because we've been stuck on 2 lands forever. Yeah, this Vindictive Vampire is just going to kill us, so that's fine. Alright, so Mono Black Vampire is getting it done. Got the super secret tech. Flame Sweep seemed like they probably work against them. I want Tibalt as well, though, if they're worried about life gain. We'll just focus more on removal, I think. So take out the Domri package. I don't think the Serpent does much. Probably Intervention as well. We'll shave off the Ceratops, I guess. Leave Gemrazer in just in case. Alright, let's not get stuck on lands this time. Okay, we got Temple. Scry for lands. That'll do. So having the Intervention and Embercleave in our open hand is a little bit awkward. But we do have the Stomp, so they probably have a creature here. We can kill it and then just play it down as a 4/3. Nothing. I don't want to just keep holding this up, so I want to actually play some spells. So we'll go ahead and fire that off. Good old turn 3 Paradise Druid, you gotta love it. Okay, Grasp of Darkness. It's a pretty solid removal spell. Not sure why they're playing so slow here. It's pretty easy to just kill that. Aerialist. Continue to have mana issues. Pretty much guaranteed this person's running 24 lands. They have curved out perfectly just fine both matches. 25 lands, stuck on 2, now we're at 3. Can't find the lands we need to actually play the spells we need. But sometimes that's just the way it goes. Get the free attack in the air. Oh, there's that. We have to just play this down as a 4/4, and then we can maybe try to dominate next turn. If they kill the Gemrazer, we probably just have to play Gemrazer number 2. If the Gemrazer lives, then we go for Domri, I believe. So we do have the Embercleave in our back pocket to hopefully close out this game at some point. I'll absolutely take that block. If they wanted to do a trick, go for it. Last time they Sorin's Thirst, they still lost their creature. Okay, opponent, do you have a response? Surely you had a plan when you attacked. There you go. You did something. Okay. The Disfigure already worked. It already did its thing. Oops. No, we want to play this as a 4/4. There we go. I guess we pay the life just to hold up the intervention. Savage Gorger, it's gonna keep growing. Attack with the Vampire, we'll block with the Druid. They do nothing, we'll take it. Old Domri, and this hand is pretty bad, so we're gonna minus. Paradise Druid, that's not what we were hoping for, but we'll drop it. Scry, looking for anything that's not a land. Soul Sear, I guess we probably need that removal. And we're just gonna hold up the fort here. If they talk Domri, so be it. Reading through their cards, trying to decide their options, sure. Probably something you want to do on my turn. "22 minutes. So they've took up 5 minutes of our time here. We can Soul Sear the Aerialist, so I think we just block the Gorger. Since we've seen they have the 2 damage type effects with Disfigure and the other one, the Soren's Thirst. So if they were holding on to that, then they wouldn't have had as good blocks in that case. So they get a bunch of triggers. Actually, they go to 6 toughness, so our Soul Sear does not do a whole lot here. Maybe we can Soul Sear the Vampire.
Whatever happens next, it's gonna hurt ya.
Should probably just have to get rid of that so we don't keep getting the life loss triggers. Take the block, grow the Aerialist. I guess we go for the Embercleave. Just start pushing some damage across. We're basically in a race at this point. Well, if they kill our Gemrazer, then we're probably just dead at this point. This Aerialist can kill us in 2 turns unless they decide to waste their time attacking Domri for some reason. Gruesome Menagerie. Okay, they get back what, Vampire of the Dire Moon maybe? Savage Gorger. They can only get two creatures. They don't have a 2-drop, they have like they just have the Vampire of the Dire Moon and a couple 3-drops to choose from. So the nice thing about Intervention, does give it indestructible, so we don't have to worry about death. We can kind of play around Death Touch in that way. Okay, we'll see what they attack with. Okay, just one face. Now we basically have to kill our opponent. -3.
You go here.
It's a Crasher. Alright, so we have reach on the Gemrazer, so we'll have to just hold up that as a blocker, and hopefully we can kill him next turn. So we have Intervention mana open, so we'll fire that off. So we can block and keep all our creatures alive, and hopefully kill them on the Crackback. 2 cards in hand though. Second Aerialist. It's unfortunate. What if they just swing all here? Oh, that was not how I wanted to do that. Alright. Should have blocked with the Druid first, then fired off the intervention. Another vampire. I'll attack all. So we got 6 trampling and 10 trampling here, 16 trample. I think that's lethal. Should just be lethal with the Embercleave and the Trample. Got 5/5. Alright. We got there. I seem fine. We'll just run it back. Our opponent can play a little bit faster. 1 land. Telling you, the shuffler does not like 25 lands. Turn 1 vampire. And another land. How about that? Attack for 1, gain 1, and you have a 2-mana player. Might have Ebony. That's probably something we'll want to stomp away. We'll see if we can get them to commit their mana maybe to it. If we want to activate, we can just stomp in response. Perfect. But I don't know how to play there anyway, but still. If they did, at least kind of slows them down a little bit. And I'll probably block here just because. Not drawing any of our sideboard cards, which is unfortunate. Just want to get that off the board. Let's see, Death Touch is pretty much a nightmare for a Gruul list. We do have Trample, then kind of trample over that, but we're off to such of a slow start here. I don't know why you didn't play that first. For the 4/4, we'll see if they have removal. So if we can kind of keep our board state intact for a couple turns here, we could maybe ride this Embercleave to victory. Yeah, we'll just take the block. If you have your little combat tricks, go for it. Maybe just don't take 5 minutes to cast it. 16 minutes. That's insane. I mean, Disfigure and Sorin's Thirst are pretty terrible with what our deck is trying to do, but I mean, they're making it work. I don't. What? It's a 2/3. You made my creature a 2/2. Why are you playing this? I don't understand. I just do not fathom what you're trying to do with that. I'll just add to the board here. Stomp doesn't do much in the face of a 2/3. And it gives us Embercleave potentially next turn. Okay, Centipede, sure. Anything else, opponent? Where they're going, they're just going to run out of time here. Sacrifice it. Okay. I'm not sure what they were trying to target. Let's see. Do we have mana to play both of these? No, we don't. So let's get rid of that while it's at 4. And we'll just swing 6. Alright, so gotta love it. We're stuck on lands at early turns, and now when we actually need gas, we just draw lands, and we're flooding out when we need spells. Nice if the Shuffler could get the memo that we need lands in the early turns and we need spells later on. This Bonecrusher Embercleave could just carry us to victory, though. We'll see. If we can draw like a Crasher or something like that, would be pretty sweet. This person is milking it. Alright, thank you. Saving my time there. It's 2089. Go first. It's okay. We have the Paradise Druid that can kind of ramp us into something. Especially if we don't find another land here. Stomp, Temple of Malady. Okay. Paradise Druid number 2. Probably just go Domri here unless we need to stomp something. Abzan. Abzan's pretty solid, so this could be bad for us. So many good removal spells and creatures and planeswalkers and Abzan. Play a Thieves Guild Enforcer at sorcery speed. Gotta love it. Play you. Do we want another Druid down? I just stomp. Before that gets the death touch and whatnot. Okay, Paradise Druid of their own, sure. Play Gargaroth. Seems pretty good. If I don't care about Paradise Druid, we'll attack him. They're the other one at 3 lands, so they probably do care about that. Still have a couple 3 creatures actually, so if they do have a Shatter here, and rebuild just fine. I have a Mythos of Nethroi, trying to decide between which to kill. Yeah, you kill the Gargaroth, that's not really a question. There you go. Paradise Druid number 2, sure. I'm missing red. Alright, so we got the Ceratops and a Bonecrusher Giant. Just trying to go wide here. If they're still playing creatures out, then they're probably not going to shatter or board wipe us. Tolsmere comes down, kills our Bonecrusher Giants. We can fight Tolsmere. Wow. Run out these Paradise Druids. We have all the ramp in the room, so we find a Stonecoil. That could be pretty decent. That is a fight effect, so the Ceratops has damage on it, which they could easily block and kill it, which we don't want. Alright, so no Elspeth conquers death. Just a Johnny. That's the curious inclusion. So they grow their druids. So Johnny is definitely annoying. We just go ahead and do that before they let them just keep growing their druids. See if they want to trade Paradise Druids here. We'll just leave John.
I will return.
Well, they still have cards in hand, and we are empty-handed here with 3 Paradise Druids of our own. So not feeling very confident. We've applied 0 pressure to life total, sitting here at 22. Well, they found their 3rd Paradise Druid, but they still have 2 cards in hand. Kill our Domri. Don't think Domri really matters in this board, so don't really care about that. I also feel like that was kind of a curious decision on their part. Okay, just go for the Paradise Druid block. So we're down to 17 at least. They can still swing at us for 6 though, which they have done before, and that would definitely change the complexion a fair amount. But now they get a bunch of stuff back onto the board, and we just get blown out. I guess we just drop our Planeswalker package here. And what else? Ceratops doesn't do a whole lot. And drop that. Leave the Stonecoils in. Protection from multicolored could be relevant. Obviously, Embercleave, Stonecoil, all our trample effects. 0 green, we have the intervention, we have the Bonecrusher, so it's tempting, but I don't think we can keep this. Oh, alright, we'll do it. And pass. Triumph. So we'll play the Stomping Ground. Not much we can do here. If anything, they probably just Parachute, which is not something that we can stomp anyway. Just play out another one. Well, we'll go for our Paradise Druid. They could have boarded in more removal. So I'm just going to slow play it a little bit. 5 mana open next turn, potentially. So we have more options. Okay, Paradise Druid. Oh, let's play this for 5, why not? It's pretty good attacks next turn. We'll stomp the Paradise Druid if they tap it for anything here. Chevelle. Probably want to intervention that. Crasher is good, but it's a little awkward that we have to deal with this. Yeah, we're stuck on lands here. I think we just pedal to the metal, drop a 4/3. Follow up with Crasher and hope that's enough to win. Well, they're a long way from the ultimatum, which is good. Okay, Shadow, get to draw a card. Next turn we have Ooze and then hold up Intervention, I think. Chevelle again. So we're actually missing green mana. But we do get to kill this Chevelle and make a 3/3. And they take it so that we get a 6/6. Alright, so we're in a decent spot. If we draw Embercleave on top, we probably can just close out the game next turn. And Garrick, they can make a 3/3. Don't imagine you want to attack in here with your when you're at 10 life. But they could. We can just block if we want to. Yep, I go to 3/3. Crasher number 2. That seems pretty good. We'll swing face. They're at 10, they kind of have to block. They have 6 toughness. So they're basically taking 6 here. I could block 1 and just take 9. Definitely pretty awkward being stuck on just single green. We definitely want to play the Druid and the Intervention maybe. But we'll probably just play the Intervention so that our creatures don't die to Chevelle. And if they wipe us again, we still have another Crasher to follow up with. Maybe we should have just attacked the Ooze as well, since they kind of have to block these guys. But they could just double block, soak up 6, and then they would be taking 8. They'd still be at 2, so that's not quite lethal. Obviously playing a Crasher there would have been pretty aggressive. You blew us out in game 1. I'm not sure why you're roping here. Maybe they lost their connection, but if they're just being salty and roping it, that's kind of crappy. Because you had the easy game 1. You had the Shatter here. That kind of wipe out some of our stuff. We rebuilt, and we have the advantage now because we went first. Okay. Well, that's one way to end. Alright, game 3. So I probably want to be a little bit more controlling, so maybe we want these Soul Sears now for game 3. What do we take out? Pretty heavy on 3 drops. Maybe we'll just shave off 1 of each. Try it like that. And we'll find out if our opponent disconnected or if they actually made it back on to finish this match. However they blocked there, I mean, we were still in pretty good spot to win that game. They could have obviously death touched our Quartzwood Crasher and gone down to depending on how they blocked, they could have just soaking up 6 damage, lost both their things, and then taken 6 down to 4. Maybe shattered or something the next turn. But we had the Crasher to follow up with some additional threats. So we were still in a pretty decent spot, especially with the Enclave to kind of help us draw cards and kind of keep up with their card advantage. So I felt we were in a pretty winning spot there, regardless of what their situation was. But yeah, Abzan is definitely a fantastic color combination. Ever since Ikoria, It's just got a lot of powerful tools. It's a really solid option. All right, opponent. I'm sure you can log back on in time. Clock is ticking, my friend. So we got the sweet Mu Yanling avatar. It's one of my favorite ones. She definitely does not see enough play. It's understandable, you know. She's pretty medium, but it still is a pretty cool card for what it is. Unfortunately, you know, you just have like things like Narset and Teferi that are probably just better for what you're trying to do. Alright, our opponent disconnects. Well, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. So, obviously, similar to the last Trample tribal that I made, it's not necessarily tuned for competitive play, because it's just not really what we do around here, but it certainly has, there we go, lines where it can be more competitive. Stonecoil, certainly a fine card. Embercleave, of course, can win you games just by itself. Well, not by itself, you have to have creatures, of course. Most of our creatures are big enough that Embercleave is going to give you the value you're looking for. Quartzwood Crasher, just a ton of fun. The Elder Gargaroth definitely gave this deck another fantastic dimension with a Trample creature that gives you additional value as well. Wildbonder is still a solid card, but not the most competitive in the way it's kind of win more, but it definitely can help you out in like kind of board stall and mirror type situations. So I definitely think it's worth including as at least as like a 1 or 2 of. But obviously the Planeswalker package is a little bit on the greedier side, where you're trying to kind of use these Planeswalkers to kind of ramp you into your big threats and potentially even give them haste, which is what the Domri 4 is here for. But obviously, you know, things like Quest and Beasts are just strictly better cards. And Domri is fine in this because it does give you the +1/+0. Ramps you on turn 3. Well, of course, you know, on turn 4, because if you spent your turn 3 playing this, then on turn 4, then you can actually like maybe ramp into something like your Crasher, which is pretty sweet. So I think Domri is certainly fine if you want to kind of tune this into a ranked environment. But otherwise, you probably want to main deck Quest and Beast for the Domri. Maybe take out the Intervention for like Lava Coils, just because it's typically a better card, but I definitely think there's something to be said for the Intervention. I think it's definitely a fine removal. And then obviously Gemrazer and Shifting Ceratops definitely are some nice and versatile cards, but depending on your matchup, you can easily sideboard these out for other things. The Druid, of course, is kind of auto-include. The Bonecrusher Giant, I think, slots in perfectly. And yeah, other than that, the sideboard, obviously you want Intervention. Ooze, you definitely need some graveyard interaction. Not only escape, but there are definitely some various decks that do kind of rely on their graveyard Lurus decks are still around. You know, the sacrifice decks, the cat, and things like that. And then, of course, you know, people trying to play Reanimator. There's still some fun things in Reanimator. Spyglass Ugin is just such a terrible card. You need some way to deal with it. Spyglass shuts it down so it can activate its abilities, and there's obviously other Planeswalkers you want to shut down as well. Flame Sweep for the aggro feels pretty solid as a 2 of Soul Sear. Tibalt. Of course, we don't find any life gain matchups where that was relevant, but life gain is still pretty prevalent in the meta, it seems like. But if you're not finding those matchups either, maybe you can take out Tibalt for something else. But yeah, Gemrazer gives you some more options in the sideboard, and Quest and Beast, if you put this in the main, that gives you some more slots to play around with your sideboard as well. So overall, it feels pretty solid. Like I said, this is more tuned for, you know, kind of casual play, which is what we prefer, so we don't have to deal with like the crazy meta decks that are just stupidly overpowered, and we just kind of have some fun where, you know, just get to kind of play our decks and see what happens. All right, so thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, make sure you jank with a